So right away, I'll be honest, I think I'm going to ruffle a lot of feathers in this video, meaning that I don't think people are going to be happy with this. But you know what, I thought I'll make the video anyway. It's just my opinion and I could be wrong. But first, it is time for the subscriber challenge. Now I want you guys to either pick heads or tails. If you win, then you win, but if you lose, then you lose. And if you lose, you have to subscribe, because that is the challenge. So pick right now. 3, 2, 1, go. What's it gonna land on? It's gonna be tails. So if you picked heads, then you lose, and if you lose, you have to subscribe, because that is the challenge. Now I'm gonna give the positives and the negatives. The positives are what I think could happen that would make this unit a lot better, and the negatives are gonna be why I think this unit is not as good as people are saying. I think the unit is overrated, and we'll talk about the other negatives as well. I'm not gonna discuss what the unit actually does, because I've discussed that at length as is, but I'm gonna discuss my opinions on what I think will happen with this unit and where I think the unit is right now in the game of Dokkan. Now right away, this form that you see right here, you have to stay in this form for 5 turns. And this unit in this form is awful. And by awful, I mean mid. Because realistically, it's not awful. It's just mid. Literally mid. And then after 5 turns, if you go into this form, you're gonna get destroyed in longer or shorter content. Yes, he'll do good damage, but that's all he will do. And his damage isn't even the best thing ever, because he's got no inbuilt crits, and that's what you need to do a lot of damage. Now to be fair, he's got those additionals, so he can do a lot of damage from that, but overall it's not impressive. At the very least, they could have let him raise attack on super attack, because this is completely useless. His super attack is a complete 0. It is doing 0. What is 0? 0 is nothing, nada. And unfortunately, there is a big range here. If you are between 50 to 80% HP, you're gonna go into this form, and if you go into this form, the unit is not good at all. Now to be fair, if you go into the Gohan or the Piccolo form, he's super good, but guess what, in the Buhan form, he's only really good for the first 7 turns. In fact, for the first 6 turns, because for the first 6 turns, he's got a 70% chance to guard, which is good, but after 6 turns, it's only 50% chance to guard. And at that point, he's not that good. He's okay, he's still decent, but at that point, he's like just a bit better than mid, I would say. Because if it's a 50% chance to guard, that is disgustingly bad. Because if that does not activate, he's dead. At least with 70%, it's more than likely you're going to see it often. But at 50%, it's not impressive. So, for the first 6 turns, he's really good. Honestly, the only change you have to make is get rid of this. Let him have a 70% chance to guard for good. Because the thing is with this unit, one way that this unit could age really well, there's 2 different ways. Number 1, it depends what we get later on. Actually, both of these things depend on what happens in this anniversary later on in the 8-year anniversary. Number 1, if we get a new difficult content that is long form, this unit would hugely benefit from that, because this unit is only good in longer content. But the bad thing about that is, this guy is only really good for the first 6 turns. So if it's really long content, this unit is going to be mid in that content. But if it's like long content, but you can get it done in like 10 or 11 turns, that's more than good enough. But if it goes on for longer than 11 or 12 turns, then this unit is going to be pretty mid in that content. So this new difficult content needs to last between, on average, between let's say 8 to 12 turns. If it lasts for that long on average, that's really good for this unit. But if it's any longer than that, this unit is completely trash in those events. Because in the base form, he'll get destroyed. And then after 6 turns after that goes away, that 70% chance to guard, he's going to suck in the longer content as well. That's number 1. But number 2, this unit could age gracefully depending on what partners he gets. So for example, if this guy gets the easy A, which I think he will, this guy will be a really good partner for this guy over here, for the STR Boo. So either this guy needs to get an easy A, which I think he could, or this guy needs to get an LR, which I think he could. Or better yet, both of those things. But here's what I will say. At least one of these units have to be a slot 1 juggernaut to make this unit a top tier unit. And the reason I say that is because this guy over here is a terrible slot 1 unit. He's not even mid as a slot 1 unit. He is disgustingly bad as a slot 1 unit. He'll be somewhat okay in slot 2 sometimes, but in slot 1 he sucks. So one of these has to be a slot 1 unit, and if they are, that would hugely benefit this guy, because that would be a slot 1 Juggernaut as a partner that this unit needs. So like I said, depending on what happens with these two, if we get the LR, if we get the EZA for this guy, depending on what they do with those 2 units, that would hugely benefit this guy. But even if we get that, like I said, there was no need to restrict this guard of 70% chance to guard to 6 turns. That should have been 70% all the way through, at the very least. As a matter of fact, that should be guaranteed for the first 6 turns, and then here, after 7 turns, it should be a 70% chance after 7 turns. So guaranteed for 6 turns, and then 70% after that. That would have been a lot better, but unfortunately they did not do that. Now what I will say about this unit is that if you go into this form, he is beautiful, he is wonderful, he's the best unit in the game near enough. He's that level of great, he is that good. If this unit was just this unit over here, you start off as this unit, bro, I would like this unit as like a top 3 unit in the entire game. Basically, how good the truth says Chila is, this guy would be even better than that in my opinion. He would be even better than that, and the truth has Chila in top 15 or something like that. I would have this Boo as better than that Chila, but unfortunately, you have to wait till after turn 5 to get this unit out. And even if you get to turn 5, you have to be below 49% HP, which means that you're hardly ever going to see this unit even in longer content. If you can consistently see this guy on turn 6, this unit is phenomenal, it's phenomenal, it's 100% perfect. But unfortunately, you're not guaranteed it. But unfortunately, you're probably going to see this transformation more often than you would like to. And if that is the case, this unit is not impressive whatsoever. So this unit has potential to be good. The anniversary, like what happens in the anniversary could certainly help this unit age better, but it depends on what happens. Personally, right now, I do think this guy is really good. He is certainly better than this trash over here. This is complete trash, I'm sorry to say. If he had a scouter, this guy would easily be like a top 10 unit, including LOs, including everything. This guy would be top 10 if only he had that scouter. But unfortunately, he does not. Therefore, he sucks. And because of that, I think this Boo is either the number 1 EZA in the entire game for TU Wars or number 2. And actually, I would say he is comfortably number 2. Because in my opinion, the Gogeta is a slightly better. One thing that hugely benefits this Gogeta is that he transforms on turn 4. Whereas the Boo transforms on turn 5, which you might think is a small difference, but in reality, it makes a massive difference. And it certainly does help the Gogeta. So because of that, and because of the dodge, I have to give it to Gogeta. I think Gogeta is the number 1 TUR EZA, and the Boo would be number 2. Not to mention that Gogeta has the much better leader skill. But you might say Boo also has a really good leader skill. But I would argue to that, saying that yes, he does, but he only works well with certain units. Whereas with this Gogeta, works well with most of the units on this team. Well, on both of those teams, Fusion and Movie Heroes. Not to mention that Movie Heroes is literally a top 3 team in the entire game. Personally, I would put it at number 2, but if you want to argue it's number 1, I'd be fine with that. So, he's got a better link set, he's got more partners, he's got a better leader skill, and I think the kit is just overall better than the Boo. So for me, Gogeta is number 1, and then Boo would be number 2. I think the Boo is really good, but I do think this Boo right now is being overrated. And I think a few months down the line, people are going to realize that, yes, okay, fair enough, Real saying, you were right all along. We were overrating this Boo. But if I'm wrong, I will happily admit that I'm wrong. 100% I'll admit that I'm wrong. A few months down the line, if everyone's saying that this unit is super good, and I see the gameplay and I see him doing amazing things, I'll admit that I was wrong. But for right now, I do believe this unit is completely and utterly overrated. Although I will concede he is still really good and he's got a lot of potential. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then do subscribe, especially if you failed the challenge, because that is the challenge. Also, do leave a like and comment because those things do help out with the algorithm. With that said, thanks for watching and I will see you guys next time.